Welcome to Tech Matters. I am Radhika Gopalan. If you are a newbie to tech industry or a tech professional aspiring to be a product manager, you are in the right place. My background is in computers. I have been in the tech industry for over 22 years. I have been a programmer analyst, business analyst, project manager, and now a product manager. This is my contact. Feel free to send me questions and suggestions. My mission is to educate people like you in technology so that you can find a spot in this industry just like I did, and you can be successful too. With this course in specific, my focus is to share what I have learned about product management, the best practices to apply, and I'll give you examples based on my experience so that you can relate it to your day-to-day work and you can apply it in your job right away. So let's go over what is product development lifecycle. So how do tech products go wrong? There are a couple of examples here, Segway, TiVo, MapQuest. With Segway, it was high expectations. People, the way it was marketed, it was expected to be useful for people to use it on roads. However, that was not the case in reality. It was impractical from usage standpoint, from parking, security, and others. There wasn't any justifiable market need that required such an expensive product. TiVo also was a very good product by itself. It paved the way for DVRs. However, their marketing was weak, and they were dominated by cable companies, and the cable companies basically took over their customer base. With MapQuest, it was poor user experience. At times, quite often, in fact, the directions they served would be incorrect. And when Google Maps came into the picture, they pretty much took over MapQuest. Google Maps is way more easy to use and easy on the eyes and much better user experience. So these were some of the reasons the tech products went wrong. This is not to say that this was a problem due to the product manager or the product itself, but there are other aspects of a product life cycle that could have been done better to make this a better, a market hit. This is another illustration of product gone wrong. The client is upset with the neighbor who is blowing the leaves into his yard. He thinks building a wall is a solution, so he goes to the landscape architect and he says, I want a wall. The architect doesn't ask questions. He takes that as a requirement and goes to his team of landscapers and tells them we need to build a wall. The team doesn't ask any questions either. They don't quite understand the requirement. The first landscaper builds a fence. Second landscaper hears something about the wall, so adds the wall to the fence. The third landscaper just blends the wall to the fence and delivers it to the customer. The customer did not ask for this or pay for this, so the customer is completely confused. And the business problem that the customer had has not been solved. So there are several things that went wrong here, and as you learn about product management and product development life cycle, you will learn how to avoid these type of situations. So let's talk about product development life cycle. The different stages in this life cycle are inception, research, planning, execution, and support. So let's start with the step one, inception. Now, you have to remember that you may most likely be owning multiple features. It could be multiple products even, and you will have your features or products in different stages in the life cycle. So you may have a feature in the inception phase, whereas a some other feature in execution phase or support phase. So in the inception phase, what happens? In this phase, you meet with your stakeholders, end users, to identify business problems. gather their ideas, their feedback, review the business goals with your business stakeholders, and then you end up with a list of ideas in your idea bank, which will give you the next best investment, critical business needs that need to be solved, ideas for customer retention, customer acquisition, revenue generation, and more. You prioritize that list and pick top 2 or 3 items to research further. At this point, you may have some evidence on business need and value proposition. So you need to go into the research phase to build that evidence and to justify the need to solve that problem. So you meet with your end users again and the originators of those ideas to gain further insight into their business processes, persona of the users, value proposition, and potential desired solutions. So you need to understand who are your daily users, and you may have some light mock-ups that you use to validate with your end users on potential solutions and to ensure you are solving for the right problem. So it's very critical that every stage of the life cycle you validate with your end users to ensure you are solving the right business problem and that you have a clear understanding of the business problem. So you may also find that some of the ideas do not have enough value, and you need to set it aside and pick another idea to pursue. You will have enough evidence at this point on the ideas that you have decided that you think you should pursue, and you will have high-level requirements or epics, that is large user stories in the agile term, that you will add to your product backlog. You will perform impact analysis on it, identify dependencies, and prioritize them. If you use any lightweight mock-ups, collected data, or other material, it becomes part of the story. You also identify the key performance indices you will use to measure success of the features, so which is also called, in short, as KPIs. So you need to ensure you have defined the KPIs or the metrics to measure the success of your product or your feature. How are you going to know after you implement the feature and the customers are using it that it is being used correctly, it's being used well, that you have met your goal that you started with? That is, if it was a customer acquisition goal, if it was revenue goal, that you have actually met those goals. And you may have one or more KPIs that you need to use to measure the success. Then comes the planning phase. So at this point, the prioritized stories that you have is the input to R&D. They will review the requirement with you. They will study the impact analysis and dependencies that you have identified and all the other data. And then they will identify technical feasibility, the technical impacts, and technical dependencies. They will estimate the effort and propose timelines. You negotiate the timelines with them and agree upon a release plan, which you then share with your stakeholders for feedback. And you will also share it with other product managers, other teams who are dependent on you or you are dependent on them for feedback and alignment. Then comes the execution phase. In this phase, basically, your team is going to solidify the technical design, is going to talk to other teams who are dependent on them, or they are dependent on those teams, and address those dependencies, address the technical impacts, plan the sprints, assign tasks, assign the hours required to execute those tasks, and take it to execution. In this phase as well, you will be showing a demo or reviewing the working solution with your end users and other stakeholders to ensure you are meeting the right business goal, business objective. And After the execution phase comes the go-to-market activities and support. So you are working with the marketing team, pricing team, training, sales, and other teams to ensure that they understand the value proposition of your feature, what the feature is about, and who are you targeting, and ensure that they are successful in their pieces as well. That it is priced right, marketed right, and sold in the right way so that it is truly a market hit, because you can develop fantastic products, and if you do not pay attention to these aspects of the product as well, you may face some failures. And then you go to the support phase. In this phase, the customer is basically, depending on the issues, they may go directly to the customer support and address the issues through them. The support team is going to contact you with questions. Or they may come to you for product enhancement requests or for some other questions. If you have good relationship with them, they may reach out to you as well. These are basically the activities that occur in the product development lifecycle. Product lifecycle, this is basically to do with the product itself. You introduce a product into the market, you get the feedback, and you enhance the product to grow it, and you add more features to the product to mature it, and you fine-tune your product to mature it. And then you reach a stage where you have exhausted the features you can add to the product, you have exhausted the market that you can sell it to. So you identify ways to either sunset it or to refine it or other replacement strategies so that you can make it a delightful product again. This is the end of this session. I'm hoping you have learned some basics of product development lifecycle. Feel free to give me your suggestions and feedback, and do not forget to add comments below. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.